There are a few moments that leave me speechless, like choking on the silence of words that had been swallowed down the wrong windpipe as I stood at the kitchen sink, feeling the wet from her soapy hands, clung to my back, trying to process the whisper that fell from her cracked lips. I feel broken. I feel broken, she said, to which I said nothing. Too angry, too furious at the emptying in my throat for not pulling from my sleeve the comfort that she sought most. It was all I could do to hold her, like setting a fractured bone, like holding in how angry I was that the only thing broken seemed to be my ability to tell her how unbroken she is. I wanted to tell her that the only thing broken is the voice of a community that, because of how silent it is, has no idea how large it is, how many wounds in each room have hidden beneath blouses the scar of miscarriage, like some scarlet letter M, too afraid or ashamed to raise their hand among strangers and let each other know that they are not alone, that the only thing broken is this healthcare system that can't seem to give us clear answers on how to manually operate a process that's supposed to be on autopilot, that what's broken is the labyrinth of conflicting advice that we get, all telling us, listen, all you have to do is get lots of rest and stay very active. Clearly, that's what's best. So take lots of steps, wear lots of sweats, only wear socks or a dress on Tuesdays after next, and make sure you don't travel until the third trimester, and only fly private jets or on Southwest. And take these meds whenever you're feeling tired or depressed. Take these pills whenever you're feeling happy and really blessed. Take these shots when you want your savings to meet sudden death, because every dose costs a mortgage payment, so don't make a mess. Remember, less is more, unless more is less. So drink milk and avoid dairy. It doesn't digest. Avoid food that's never really not unprocessed. Get lots of acupuncture, but only for your pets. Only orgasm when inverted, and don't touch any flesh. Put this ointment on your breast. Put your hips up during sex. Put your right foot in and hop around on your left, and make sure you get that killer cell test. But other than that, the most important thing is don't stress. Really? I'm sorry, killer cell test? And you want me to not stress? That is the epitome of advice that is not doing what it was intended to do. Maybe that's what I should have told her. That day when my words failed me, maybe I should have told her that the word broken merely describes something not functioning as it was intended to, but that first assumes that we understand the preeminent intention for it. Maybe we don't always know how one thing is tethered to another. Maybe, for example, the messy lab bench that caused his petri dishes to be contaminated by mold was not what scientist Alexander Fleming intended to find when he returned home from vacation. But instead of discarding what appeared to be broken, maybe it was because he chose to look closer that he ended up discovering the world's first antibiotic, an antibiotic medication that came to be known as penicillin, a medication that let millions of people live the lives they were intended to live. People like Ann Miller, the first patient to be healed by penicillin after a deadly infection, an infection that turns out was due to miscarriage. See, we don't always know God's intention for a thing, so who are we to say that the thing is not working perfectly? If the heavens intended for our baby to be called up early so that he could lend his angelic hand to God's divine work, then you, my dear, worked perfectly. If the universe knew that we weren't ready, and I don't mean not ready according to our intentions, not we need a bigger house ready or more money, less stress ready, but the kind of not ready, determined by the prescient blueprint that knows these two need to fortify this thing within them first, to be the parents they were intended to be for this birth. If that was the all-knowing intent of this universe, then perfectly, my wife, perfectly is how you worked. So look closer. When you stand before your petri dish-shaped mirror but cannot see yourself behind its cracks, look closer, Because where you see a scar, I see a homing device that calls out to my lips. It is handcrafted to be the vault that stores my every kiss, and it still works perfectly. Maybe that's what I should have said then. But maybe that's why I didn't say it. Maybe I don't even really understand your meaning of the word broken. Because if you mean broken like your ability to turn off lights in our house before leaving, then agreed, you were definitely broken. Yeah. If you mean your ability to not ask me 20 questions during every movie that we watch, then we can call a repairman right now because you are very, very broken. If you mean your capacity to see a space that's minding its own business in our home and just leave it the fuck alone without turning it into some DIY, arts and crafts, lifestyle, influencer project, then yes, you are incorrigibly, irreparably broken. And yet, it's what's broken in you that makes your shine work like it do. It's what makes me know Rumi's words to be true, that the wound is where the light enters you. Because you have become living kintsugi, the ancient Japanese art of taking broken ceramic objects and reassembling them using gold as glue in order to create something even more beautiful. This is how you see our world. It's the distressed oak that calls out to you. It's the chipped and cracked jewelry that tells you its dreams of becoming a chandelier. This is where your magic lies, to take that condemned as worthless and conjure it wonderful, to craft extraordinary art from ordinary parts in a way that makes the world ask, how could this ever have been anything else? Your eyes hold the power of glue from gold, the power to fill each hole and crack yourself whole, a hole that is so much more than the sum of your scars. And you know this because when someone asks you about one of your scars, you don't respond to prove it doesn't define who you are. You simply tell them, oh, this, I fell. And this scar is the evidence that my flesh was broken. But me standing here is the evidence that I was not. I fell. And the life that I have lived since this skin was broken is the evidence that the person who owns this scar still works just fine. And maybe that definition of broken is all you ever needed to hear. Perhaps as I held you that day, my words failed to appear so that you could find your own words to help you DIY your cracked mirror into the art I see in you every day. Because if you are broken, then you are broken like the thing that is better for being broken. Like bread at a meal that says, I share this with you. We experience this together. This is how you are broken. Like the rivered skin on a grandmother's hands that hieroglyph stories of a life that worked perfectly, broken. Like the dam of a mother's parental love as each kiss from her adopted newborn leaves her so-called curse of infertility broken. Like a piggy bank come time to finally spend what was saved after so many rainy days broken. Like world records that were always made to be broken. Like dawn when light fills wombs once broken. Like your back. The night I stopped making love to you for reproduction and got back to reckless fucking like your knight in shining husband. We are all broken in some way. We are chipped teeth and smiles, clenched fists and hope, and bloody knuckles and surrender. And we are broken like silence broken. Like silence broken. Like a community that shares your story and will no longer let you feel you are alone in silence broken. Like the so many men who even when we have no words will never leave you feeling alone in the silence broken. Like a woman closer to you than you know, who is brave enough to raise her hand until you see her, to let you know that you are not alone. Women unafraid to raise their hands in a room full of strangers to let you know, I too have worn that scarlet letter M and you are not alone. Women proud and confident and defiant enough to raise their hand like the child they eventually raised and tell each other, I am a parent just the way, at just the time that God intended for me to be a parent. So if you think you are broken, sister, ooh, you are broken like me. You are broken like whole. You are broken like right. I'm telling you now, my unstoppable wife, that you are broken like the flesh of a moment that will leave a scar. And years from now, our child will sit on your lap and will reach up and touch your scar, like touching the angel wings that hung above our bed, like touching the ultrasound pictures placed in our photo album, like reaching into your belly and touching that scarlet letter M on your womb that was unable to break you. And our child will ask, Mommy, what happened here? Then you will smile at the amazing life of get up that brought you to this moment, to be able to look lovingly at our child and respond by simply saying, I fell.